I'll be conducting this press conference. We have approximately two. Can you
give them mics? Please move.
Okay, you hear me now. So,
For example,
we have approximately how many? 2 minutes before the start, right? So we'll start a little bit earlier. And unfortunately, we have to finish a little bit earlier. So 30 minutes from the beginning till the end, and unfortunately, because of the very tight schedule, we don't have any flexibility. So 30 minutes, and I'll have to cut it short just because, I mean, we have future obligations. What else? Do you have questions to me? So the President will be speaking Ukrainian with simultaneous English translation. Your questions will be in English, right? Do you have any questions to me before we start? No? Okay.
Because we will have everybody in the
So just when we start, just raise your hand and please introduce yourself. Yeah.
If he's sitting here, in the camera is like this.
Да.
One more row.
Можно, да, можно украинский. Okay, so. Да.
Я відповідаю. Цей мікрофон.
Okay, can somebody give a signal? Can we start? When can we start?
We can start.
Okay, шановні колеги.
Dear colleagues, we have had a lot of meetings in your beautiful countries, and each and every time on each press conference we lacked a bit of time. Not all the time we have managed to address all the questions, so here is your additional opportunity to pose the questions to President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, in the aftermath of our visits to Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia. Please, your questions.
Margus Martin, Postimees, Estonia daily newspaper. It's been a tough day for you, Mr. President. Today, the President of Estonia symbolically donated the highest military award to a Ukrainian soldier. And my question is, which act of heroism of Ukrainian soldier has touched your heart most, or which act of heroism would you like to full world to know about and which has not yet been made public?
Thank you for the question. Starting with your first statement, if it was a tough day, in comparison with the days on the battlefield, with days that people have, people who are defending the state on the first line, days that children have who are studying and getting knowledge in the subway or in underground shelters, in comparison with that, this is not a tough day. To be in Ukraine, to fight for our homes, for our families, it is not an act of heroism. It is now I'm having a dialogue with you, I'm not arguing. I'm saying that we are struggling for our survival, for our existence, and we very well know the price of freedom. It is high. And unfortunately, it is now not final, as the war is not over yet. And therefore, the act of heroism to be in Ukraine and day by day fight for it, I believe that this is a human path, I believe, that we have. And those who are, for these 2 years, on the very first line every day, they are every day moving heroically forward, moving slightly forward to the main result, a just peace, for which we deserve absolutely by law by legal law and by law of dignity and by all laws of God, and I'm sure in it.
Please.
Доброго вечора. Мене звати Єва Варна, телебачення.
My name is Eva Varna, TV3 Latvia.
Запитати українською.
I will ask my question in Ukrainian. Me and operator every month are working in the country, meeting with the military men, also with citizens of Ukraine. And with our own eyes, we witness how difficult and tough the situation on the front line is. At the same time, the support from Western partners is now stuck, both in Washington and also in Brussels. The question, could you please tell me what are the main risks of postponing making the decision? Thank you so much. Thank you for the question. I believe that the answer, if not overall, but partially you have for your question, because you have started from that you are permanently in Ukraine with military men, with civilians, permanently with people. I want to thank you for it. And this is important. And I believe that to understand the war, and I'm not pushing anybody, and without any offense, I just want to say that to fully understand war, what we are fighting for and how, one needs to be in Ukraine. Perhaps not all the time. Journalists have their own lives in their own countries, etc. But nonetheless, at least sometimes understand where we are. To see the difference in spirit, to see the difference in what is now, to see the difference in the support and to see the difference in influence of this support and the risks of delaying the aid. Let's take one example with you, not to go too deeply into this discussion. I would simply take air defense, because I can take sanctions. We can look on the issue of finance, of salaries, of pensions, of social payments to disabled people. There are many different challenges, and each of these aspects, the delay has influence, and has definitely not positive influence. We are normal people, not pessimists, but at war we are probably realists, but with certain feeling of optimism, because without optimism there will be no victory, and I'm sure in it. But from partners we would want them to be just realists, pure realists, and so that they understand how these terms and timeframes influence the losses that we have and what we have. So let's take this air defense issue. I am grateful to all the partners, undoubtedly, first and foremost to those who have provided to us the opportunity to fight for our lives and to survive. And this air defense systems, Patriot systems, NASAMS, IRIS-T, Hawk, those are main systems. There are various others that are helping to some extent, but if we're talking about serious missile strikes where we have 100+ missiles, or let's say 10 Kinjals in one day, ballistic missiles and drones, overall, for example, in some 200 strikes against children, elderly people, military men, everybody. So here, without, for example, Patriots, it would be impossible to survive. And on the one hand, I am grateful on behalf of all the people of Ukraine for what we have, but on the other one, how to live calmly and to sleep if you understand that you have tens of such systems, and Ukraine, if was provided by 7 systems, then people in Kharkiv, Kherson and Odessa would not die. Can you live normally with that? I will be honest with you. As a person, I do not understand this. Partners are well aware that some weapons that they have provided to us, certain weapons, I will not be now saying which one, but partners, by listening, they understand. Certain long-range fires with which they have provided to us. We have destroyed 26 helicopters in one day, 12 aircraft that flew and then hit with missiles against which those systems were working. We have destroyed 12 at once because we had with what to do it. And here there is another issue. Yes, we will provide you with. And we say we are very thankful, but there is certain delay, and they will arrive in 3 months. For now, I cannot cover our losses, but take the data in 2 years and divide it into quarterly, and understand how many people we have lost in those 3 months. Here I'm talking only about long-range fires or air defense. Therefore, I believe that long-range fires that has destroyed Russian aircraft which took off to target us. It is not war, it is our defense. And these long-range fires, it was not an attack at anybody. It was part of air defense of Ukraine, because we have destroyed them who have attacked us and who have had full control of the sky. And therefore, how to describe what it is? It is simply a big amount of deceased people. That is what this delay is. And if we are talking whether, for example, let's take the United States. It is everywhere, in the United States, in Europe, everywhere. Do you need the aid now or later, because we have certain internal issues and the help will be in 2 months or in 1 month? But we assure you that we support you. We assure you that this will take place. I'm replying simply. Many contracts that we procure with our own money, the weapons that we procure with our own money, a lot of what we produce, a lot of what we receive as aid, and when there is no financing, we need to understand that we cannot not give our elderly their pensions. It's simply impossible, because the elderly will die. This is what will happen. There is some treatment and other issues in times of war. We have more than 11 million of retired people. This is not a joke. How many countries in Europe are like that? Not so many. Is there at least one country who has 11.5 million retired people? Taking into account that in times of war, when some people left abroad, the elderly people mostly have not left. They left at home. They stayed at home. They are old people. They have stayed at home, and they need aid and European financial aid. And once again, I reiterate my thanks to the partners you support here and everywhere else. But let's be honest. The elderly is not supported by anybody except the state. Once again, without any getting at something. When you provide pension to the elderly people or aid to a disabled person who have not left because he or she is simply unable to leave, and when the war struck us with shock and people fled to save the lives of children first and foremost, this is what happened. People that needed physical aid, nobody left anywhere. Everybody left in Ukraine. And all that is on the shoulders of those who live in Ukraine and our partners. And therefore, when there is a delay in financial aid for their pensions, and we cannot spend money on defense and on our military men, and you know that we cannot do this with financial aid from our partners, then we provide pensions, and this means that at this time we do not procure weapons. We do not procure defense for ourselves. That is a fact. And this means that in this time you saved life for one person, but at the same time somebody else gave the life for it. This is what is a delay, and that is just an example for you. Air defense. And there are many other challenges like this on a daily basis, but we stand off. I don't want anybody to feel pity for us. We are strong people. To feel pity is the last thing to do. Let's not do it. Thank you. Please, your question. Greetings, Mr. President. If I may, also in Ukrainian, Emilia Gasparyan, multimedia platform of Latvian television for national minorities. Mr. President, unfortunately, Latvia still has a segment of society that still supports Putin and is waiting for Russia to come somewhere. What would you tell to this segment of society? What happens when Russia arrives? I don't want to come up with anything. There is an example of Ukraine. Everything is very simple. Russian Federation came to Crimea and annexed. And if people did not come out to fight with weapons for their freedom and values, then in time you will lose independence and everything that is connected to it. For somebody, most important thing is customs and traditions. For somebody's language. For others, it's some other values, and all those are important values. Not to lose oneself, not to lose the state, not to lose independence. All that is about freedom, and somebody will not be able to bear it and will simply immigrate to another country and will lose homeland. But if you take something to your hands and go out to defend yourself, you will be killed and murdered. Till you will not be able to withstand and fight back for what you have. On your own, with the help of your partners, or in some other way. There are not too many alternatives here, to be honest. And therefore, if you are ready to give up your state and everything that you have, and to turn, as an example, as you say, Latvia into Latvian region of Russian Federation, then these people, they are ready not to fight. But I know that your people will fight. And this means that they will be killed. This is what it means. And therefore, when somebody supports policy of Putin or thinks that it will be better in this way, or counts a lot on that television will protect them and lives according to those narratives, we unfortunately, this is a fairy tale that will never become true. Thank you. Your question, please. Everywhere where he came, everywhere where Putin has come, everywhere where he has come, there is no economic growth. There is loss of identity. There is frozen conflict everywhere. Absolutely everything. He has done everything. By analogy, here is Georgia. Here, please, this is what they have done to Syria. Killed jointly thousands of people. Look here at Moldova. Here is what he does in Ukraine. The scenario is the very same.
Hello, Mr. Zelensky. Artur Zbikovs, TVN journalist. First and foremost, I would like to thank you on behalf of our editorial team and our media. Thank you for what you do and Ukrainian people do to protect our as well. That's the first thing that I would want to say. Second of all, the treaty that you signed today underlines what Ukraine must implement, substantial reforms to become an EU member. What are the most important reforms, in your view, that Ukraine must do immediately? Thank you.
Thank you so much. First and foremost, you need to understand that implementation of reforms is not a task that comes somewhere from the top, from this or that state, from this or that institution, International Monetary Fund or European Union, etc. Reforms are a long and tough process. Countries in EU and NATO, they still undertake reforms, and it is the right thing to do. You cannot stand in one place. So this is a format of development of a human, of society, of a state, of development of the world. Without this, it is impossible. Today we see the digitalization, and digitalization sets tone for new reforms, and we will have principally new things which every state requires for itself, without any exceptions. The society itself, in times of COVID, has told you we cannot live like this. We are isolated. We need digitalization. We need new services. We need new communication. COVID is not normal, and reforms in accordance with what we have now is normal. Therefore, you're asking what priorities. I think the war demonstrates the weak points of every state, and we first and foremost saw it. We get rid of bureaucracy as much as we can, but we still have a lot of it. And here, digitalization is very helpful. We understand that institutions are artificially widened, that Cabinet of Ministers is too big. Please may my Cabinet of Ministers not fear me now, but I'm saying that overall to rule such big machine is difficult. And today, once again, I come back to digital changes. We can simplify things, do them simpler. The many meetings that we have held before, hundreds of people now online on a daily basis. The meetings every day have the selector and all institutions on one screen, and all that is normal, and the war has taught many things. Then reform regarding anti-corruption. Everybody understands that in times of war, people have a request for justice which is enormous, and nobody wants to forgive anything to anybody, and therefore this is also a challenge in order to clean everything, to get rid of bureaucracy at the very max, from the touch of person with the society to each and every bureaucrat. We also need to relaunch everything with the courts. These processes were launched in Ukraine, but there is still not too many of them. And also the war tells us that security is the issue number one. And here I want to tell you that Ukraine now is more reformed than any other country that is not at war. They are lucky, and Ukraine is number one in it. It is cybersecurity, because on the very beginning they have attacked all our websites, and then we have managed to restore their activity, and here it is very tough for us. But everything is working, the banking systems, all the state websites, all state services, all that is working. You know that most of the state services we have already in smartphone, because COVID at first and then war. State in smartphone, that is a fact. And this is now not a political call, because it was in my program before. I'm here talking not about politics. This is what it appeared to be, because nobody thought that there would be COVID and war and this and this and this, and huge challenges for the people. Therefore, security. Here we also approach the schools, universities, hospitals. They are autonomous from the point of view from energy supply, because of the war, because of the blackout. But we understand that there should be energy autonomy of institutions, both as private, various types, businesses also switching to autonomous sources of energy supply, but also security for the people, for shelters. Our Ministry of Interior is also preparing many programs for the places where there is a big saturation of people because of the war, because there are weapons on hands, and this is in civilian life, not in military time. People do not understand this. So here, with the security of the state, I would generalize an approach to this reform in such words that with this we will with pleasure share with our partners, because if you have not lived in war, you do not know about it. So the reform of the defense sector, everybody has checked whether can this or that country under attack. And I'm here speaking not only about tanks, because we are here talking about drones, about ballistic strikes. Who can defend oneself? Every country has issues and questions. Please, your question. Oleg Kudrin, Ukrinform. Last year, the NATO summit was in Vilnius, and not only Lithuania, but all three Baltic states very powerfully promoted Ukraine on the way to NATO. Today is also very important, and it is very soon. We have a Jubilee summit in the US. We have read in the program that a great deal of the negotiations undertook the discussions about NATO. What are the ideas and initiatives on how the Baltic states, together with Ukraine, can help on this summit in promoting Ukraine on its way to alliance? Thank you for the question. Ukraine NATO Council is working. It is a very good instrument that has started working very, very well. I reiterate it yet again after the Vilnius summit. Then we have used this instrument, and I understood how fast we can organize partners. We can meet on the levels of ministers of defense, ministers of foreign affairs, etc. This is not bad. We have also started on the basics of the G7 declaration, if you remember, about the security guarantees to Ukraine on the way to NATO. That is, whilst Ukraine is not in NATO, what security guarantees we have? You see how relevant issue it was. Now there is a delay in assistance from EU and financial aid and from Washington. But if you have security guarantees and it covers not only weapons but also financial aid, IT support, cyber support, etc. So if the security if there are clear and transparent obligations with time frames, then this will help. And I'd like to finish with it. We have started the work on security guarantees. Not simply. It was not simple, and it is moving not simple. But I believe that in the near future we will be able to demonstrate to societies, not only to Ukrainian society, but to societies, the first draft. Not everything, because there are some closed norms that cannot be made public, but overall we will be able to demonstrate general things to the public, and I think that the evaluation will be positive of these things regarding security guarantees. Speaking of NATO summit, everything that I have mentioned, these are still steps to the security alliance, but nonetheless we would want to see real steps from NATO countries, steps that would bring Ukraine to NATO closer, so that we don't have stagnation. And it is very important to us, and it's also much needed in Washington, so that this summit becomes very efficient and powerful, and so that NATO countries demonstrate that they are not afraid of Russia. Because the last steps Ukraine has on its way to NATO, this will say that somebody has the bigger steps the further Ukraine is from NATO, the more fear it means that somebody has from NATO. And this will bring even more ambitions to the president of Russia. Probably that's it. Thank you. And now your question. Greetings.
Агентство Елта, Литва. Пане президенту, оцініть, будь ласка.
Mr. President, please evaluate the closest perspective on the battlefield. In other words, how real is a threat that Russia will be successful with some breakthrough, perhaps of strategic level? Are Russian forces capable of such breakthrough? What is the situation overall? And And is there a threat of even bigger escalation within the course of next month or half a year? Thank you for the question. First and foremost, if we do not believe the rumors and narratives that are spread by Russia, they were not successful in occupying or moving forward somewhere. In reality, not to capture a couple houses in this or that small village and simply destroy it. We are well aware of examples such as Bakhmut, and they were very proud of it. But I do not understand what to be proud of. There is nothing in there anymore, and there is just a field. And I want to tell you about it. And this probably is an answer to those people who pose a question, what will be when Russia comes. I want to explain to everybody what happens in the villages, because after the occupation in the first year of the war, Russians did not manage to take any cities. This is very important to understand. To wage war against them, they are a tough enemy, because they are not afraid of killing the civilians. Therefore, they are a very difficult enemy, because to be honest, they set results for them and then by all means try to get to that result. What is important is that they are capable of destroying everything. This is their tactics, and they destroy everything and then come in. Why there is no big city? Because the people have stayed there and they are afraid. Yes, they are killing certain quantity of our citizens because this or that threatening by artillery or S-300, but fully destroying the city they are not capable of, because they are afraid that this will become another Bucha, another genocide, because Bucha is a genocide, absolute genocide, and Mariupol was a genocide, absolute one. Now they do not want to make such mistake. In their opinion. This is their expression. Therefore, we understand that they are hitting the cities so that people run away, so that afterwards to destroy everything and enter the city. This is why their year was not successful, because they did not manage to occupy any city. This is the answer. This is the answer to those who question what will happen if they enter our village. They are not entering your village if you are not surrendering. They will not be able to do it. They can threaten certain part of the population, but then, as it was with us, but then people understood everything and they have repelled the attack. They have pushed them back. This is what happens. Therefore, situation on the battlefield is very difficult. We lack weapons, and if Russians did not control the sky, and we had air defense in enough quantities, we would destroy their aircraft. Simply destroy it. We have tried it. It works. When you destroy them in the sky, you move forward. There are no wide steps forward in Ukraine because they control the sky. That's it. And why they are not moving forward? I have replied to that to you, because they know only how to move forward via thousands of death, and this is not simple. Not simple. As regards, are they gathering forces? They are gathering forces. They have said that they will capture Avdiivka. They did not seize it. Our guys stand up and fight back. Everything else I have addressed. Do they want to do it? Yes. Their task, is their task peace? No. Believe me. It's not even 50-50. There is no 1% in their thoughts to end the war so that the war ends and peace comes. There are no such thoughts. These are not their plans. Are they gathering forces? Yes, we understand it. Do we understand where they will get them from? Yes, we understand. They have more than 300,000 convicts. This is a fact. I'm serious. They're counting on it, because they can be killed by themselves. This is the tactics. This is what we saw in Bakhmut. We have destroyed 20,000 Wagner servicemen there. 20,000, because all those who have run away from us Wagners, they were killed by them. They killed them. And that's why they were powerful, because they had no other option. Those people, the convicts, yes, they're convicts, but if we're living in civilized world, we cannot kill people if they are not moving forward to kill other people. And therefore, those people, they moved forward because behind their backs was death. And in front of them was perhaps being prisoner of war. This is what happened. Therefore, they have 300,000 people. And this is a lot. And the other thing they do is they pressure men, young male men who are on temporary occupied territories, and they mobilize them. Why do they do it? Because because neither these people nor the convicts, they will not be calculated. They will not be taken into account in Russia. Nobody does it. The main thing is to move forward. And so that less dead bodies come back to Russia, so that there was not many of them, so that it does not resonate with public. This is the tactics, approximately. Therefore, we stand where we stand. 50% of the territory that they have occupied 2 years ago, 50% we have deoccupied. No matter how difficult it was for us, but 50% of that part we have deoccupied. It is very difficult for us with the weapons we have to move forward. As I told you, if we unblock the sky, Ukraine will move forward. If we do not unblock the sky, we will be where we are now. They will be preparing counteroffensive actions. This is what you have asked. Will they? Yes, they will. When? Understanding that a person is preparing for the elections, we can approximately understand that they desire some tactical small victories in order to informationally bring up the spirit and prepare for before the elections, and to prepare for something on a larger scale afterwards. Dear colleagues, we have the time for one brief question and one small reply. Please, your question.
Herman Kelomees from Delfi and Eesti Päevaleht from Estonia. In the United States, there was a debate of Republican candidates. The Republican convention is right after the NATO summit and will affect it. There was an argument about aid to Ukraine. This is what Ron DeSantis said. Where's some of that money gone? They've done tens of billions of dollars to pay salaries for Ukrainian government bureaucrats. They've paid pensions for Ukrainian retirees with your tax dollars. What would you say to Republican candidates and voters to convince them to support Ukraine? And are you ready to deal with a Republican administration that is less supportive of the United States, of Ukraine?
Thank you. DeSantis can change his position and give millions to our military men, but he and people like him have refused to provide our servicemen with salaries, and they have said that this is a solely issue of Ukraine. One can loudly state that we are defending common values, but we cannot. But at the same time, we cannot allocate money for salary to servicemen, because we cannot allocate money to war. So DeSantis needs to know he's a young person. He's a young person, And he probably does not understand what it means to support elderly at times at war. But most of the money that were provided to us by the United States, for the money, those are billions of dollars. I am very grateful to them. The bicameral support, bipartisan support, and President Biden, I'm very grateful to them. But more than 70% of that money they have stayed in the United States, and the people know it. The people who supported us and helped us with the weapons, they know it, because these weapons is not free, and the enterprises of the United States, they have obtained that money, and the people in there, and I think American elderly as well. And yes, when DeSantis becomes a president and we prevail in this war, I will personally to him help with the gratitude, with financial gratitude for the United States helped our elderly. Dear colleagues, thank you for your attention. Unfortunately, we need to end the press conference. The press conference is finished.
Thank you so much. All the best. Thank you for your support.